You guys, guess where I am today?
Hi.
I'm with my friend Tania Teschke of the Bordeaux Kitchen, and we're filming the Bordeaux Kitchen Everyday series of recipes for her course. I'm so excited and grateful that we get to cook together. So I'm Holistic Hilda. I bring you experts, experiences, and epic adventures to boost your health. And today is an amazing time in the kitchen cooking THYMUS. Get ready to find out what that is, why it's good for you, and how to cook it up for your family. And then let me know in the comments below what you thought afterwards.
Today we're going to be working on a THYMUS recipe, or otherwise known as sweetbreads.
That's so confusing to me. I'm like, sweetbreads, what does that mean? It sounds like a cinnamon roll or Cinnabon or something.
Yeah, you're right. Well, Hilda is actually the most daring person in terms of food who I know. And so this is an organ meat. It's the thymus gland. And I think they may have named it that way because actually it doesn't have such a strong meat flavor. It's a little bit sweeter. And so we'll find out. We'll see if that's true.
And can you tell me what the thymus does in the body?
Yeah, so the thymus is actually part of the lymphatic system, and so part of the immune system. And what happens is in the bone marrow of the animal and in humans, their blood cells are created, and then some of them are sent up to the thymus to create T cells. So for our immune system. And so that's a very important organ. And I believe that if you eat some of the thymus, now and then, it's good for your immune system. It's also a very delicious organ among the organ meats because it's, like I said, it's less meaty or gamey flavored.
And I say yes as if I've tasted it before. I actually don't know if I have, so I'm excited to do that. But I was going to say, it's good for our own thymus function. The whole philosophy behind homeopathy, one of the original medicine protocols was that like heals like, or like cures like. So if you have trouble thinking, eat brain. If you have trouble seeing, eat eyes. Like, it sounds weird, but it was very common knowledge in ancient times.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have a question. How come I don't see the thymus on the supermarket shelf between the ground beef and the hot dogs?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, it's for one thing, it's a very expensive piece of meat, actually, because it's so, let's say, rare compared to, or harder to find because, there's just one little piece. It's actually made of two lobes. So there are two lobes to our thymus and to that of the cow. And it is hard to find. It's just that people don't really know about it. But in almost every fine French dining restaurant menu, there will be the thymus riz de veau. And yeah, and why is it only veau? Because the veal is the sort of the adolescent cow. And when it reaches adolescence, the thymus is still large enough to consume. So when they slaughter the calf, it's actually quite large, and the thymus is still very large as well. It's just a really prized organ. It's got so many nutrients.
All right, so what good stuff is in here, Tania?
Okay, well, there's everything imaginable, actually. So there are the fat-soluble vitamins of K2, A, D, and E. There's all of the elements that we look for, like zinc, copper, phosphorus, potassium. It's all in there. It's amazing. And it's interesting because I looked on it was a government website about different cuts of meat, and there are a few interesting things about this. One thing is that there is a difference in the nutrients between raw and cooked. Some of the nutrients actually do go down with cooking, like the very delicate B vitamins. So we don't want to cook it, kind of overcook it. Also, if you cook the thymus too much, or even the liver, it becomes kind of hard as a rock. So we're going to go gentle. And actually, it's very easy. Most organ meats require only a tiny bit of cooking.
So we should just picture the thymus kind of singing, "Go easy on the day." I'm just picturing that happening. But okay, so we'll take it easy. You're right.
Okay.
All the organ meats just need a little bit of cooking. We don't want to lower the nutrient content.
Right. And it's like a multivitamin. I mean, there's all the vitamins, the B vitamins, everything. It's just, there's calcium too, and iron. Everything you could want is in the thymus.
And can I just say, I think our hunting ancestors and apex predators out there would go for the organ meats first. In other words, we're always eating muscle meat all the time, like, let me get the prime rib or the ground beef. I mean, that's fine. But the organ meats are much more nutrient dense. And all that you listed that the thymus has is proof positive of why our ancestors and apex predators would go for the organ meats first.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do we need, Tania?
Okay, so all we really need here is the thymus gland in 2 lobes. And we'll look at that more closely in a minute. Some dill for garnish, butter, just a little bit of butter, and the sea salt. This is just some fine sea salt, a shallot, some cutting instruments, ice water, tallow, the all-important tallow, and some white pepper.
I didn't know we were going to do like face plunge challenges right now.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We could do that. Let's start with that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just boil a pot of water.
Okay.
And we'll just put 1-2 pinches of salt in there and just let it. We're just going to let that boil. And then we're going to put the thymus glands into the sweetbreads, I should say, into the pot once it's boiling.
Can you tell me why you were storing this in the refrigerator in water?
Yeah, so these had been frozen for quite some time, several months. So there's no risk of parasites. They're totally, parasite free if they had anything. But so you keep them to thaw them out, put them in water. So overnight I had put them in this pot in water to thaw in the fridge. And then this morning, just a few hours ago, I cut open the package that they were in and just put them in some spring water back in the fridge. So they're just kind of getting a little bit filtered by the spring water. And then you see there are 2 lobes. And it's a little bit...
So this is from one calf?
This is from one calf, yeah.
Wow.
2 lobes. Yeah, it's quite sizable. So, and then later we'll see there's a membrane covering the thymus, which will be easier to peel off once we've poached it.
Okay, so poaching is step 1.
Poaching is step 1. Okay, we're going to put in our thymus into the water. That's in a soft boil for 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, so 4 minutes are up, and we're going to put them directly into an ice water bath. And this water is actually spring water as well, because I don't really love tap water. There we go. Okay.
But this is so that they cool and don't keep cooking. What's next?
Okay, so what's next? What's next is we're going to take them out. Yeah, you can take one out. And so we have this membrane.
You want to take the membrane off?
Yeah, we'll take it off. It looks a little bit hard to remove in some places. We'll take as much as we can of it.
It reminds me of the membrane I see sometimes on eggs, right?
Yes, it is kind of like that. It holds it all together. And then we can cut out little pieces like this that are sort of blood retaining.
And why is it important to remove the membrane?
Well, you can also leave it on there, but it's a little bit chewy, and some people don't necessarily like that chewiness. However, like with slow cooked meats, like in stews, you always have, or even in a steak, you always have a little bit of chewy part. But that's the collagenous part. It's actually quite good for us. Okay,
here we go.
We get to cook. Okay, let's turn on our burners. That's a tricky one. Yeah, it likes to. So your burner is bigger than mine. Okay. So, and we have 2 different kinds of pans, right? I've got a cast iron. She's got the stainless steel. And so they're going to be at different temperatures, and one may be quicker than the other, especially because we do have two different sized burners underneath. So, but what we want to do first is get about a tablespoon of tallow. This is grass-fed tallow. There you go. And we'll just let that melt.
I had dogs chasing me in the park today because I used tallow on my skin. This just reminds me of what I put on my body. Okay.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, put a little dab more. Okay, and the idea here is that we're going to brown both sides of each lobe. So you have yours. That one's the one that you how do you call it? Épluché.
Okay.
In French.
She means I took the membrane off it. Okay.
Okay, and so we'll just put it on there and let it brown.
Okay.
And I'm using my hands here.
Do you think yours will brown quicker than mine?
Actually, yours might. Actually, I don't know, because iron does conduct the heat pretty fast, but you have the larger burner, so we'll see.
So medium, high heat.
Medium, high heat, yeah, or high.
Okay.
And then later we'll add butter, and that's when we turn the heat down a little bit, just so it doesn't burn. So here's just a little mini lesson with the shallot. So the way I would do this is cut off the tip there, peel off the skin. So the shallot really just serves as a little added flavor, pizzazz at the end. So when you cut an onion or a shallot, you want to use a knife that's shaped with a thin tip at the end. And we're just going to leave this sort of root part intact, and then make some slices, slice it in half lengthwise, and then the really good chefs can do it fast. And it looks so pretty. But anyway, there you go. We have a little bit of flavor. Okay, so they're cooking, and we'll just let it cook on one side and get kind of a golden brown. And the temptation is always to quick flip it and don't let it stick. But actually, it's good to let it stick a little bit, because the proteins caramelize, and that's what gives it this yummy, crunchy flavor and a little bit of crunch. Yeah.
And that sweetbread, hence the name, the sweeter in taste when it caramelizes a little.
Yes, exactly.
It's so hard not to turn it over.
So what I might suggest is we can put a little pinch of salt on top, and then we'll do it again when we turn it over.
I did 2 pinches.
Okay, good. Extra salt.
Yep.
It's been about 3 minutes or so. So it's starting to get this golden color.
What's next, Tania?
Okay, well, what we're going to do is incorporate the butter, and we can keep we'll flip our sweetbreads again. You'll notice mine is smoking a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the iron gets so hot.
Mine's smoking a little too. Should we turn the fan on? No, that might make too much noise.
That'll make too much noise. But I might add just a little bit of tallow.
Okay.
And what we can do now, and we'll do this with the butter, we'll take our spoon, we'll do this first with the tallow, and just bathe our little lobes in tallow. And so what it does, the tallow will nourish, the sweetbreads.
Wonderful.
So tallow itself is very nourishing as well. It's got also vitamin E, vitamin D3, and K2. So it's a wonderful ingredient to use.
What a nice combination.
Yeah.
To have it in both of the things, in the fat and in the organ.
Absolutely. Okay, so I think we've come to a moment where we can add our butter.
So we turn it down a little, Tania?
Yes, turn it down. And, oh, I have the butter. So we'll turn it down. We'll take just...
Looks like a tablespoonful or
yeah,
so.
it's about a tablespoonful, a pat of butter. I'll probably put in more, I think. And we're just going to bathe our sweetbreads. Yes. Just like that. And we can turn it over. You can turn yours over too,
I will,
right?
I will.
Okay. You got it. You'll see that the butter is really mousy and turning brown. It's kind of caramelizing.
Yes.
I'm going to turn down my heat a little bit because it really is so hot. Okay. We'll just keep flipping it. Flipping and bathing without letting the butter burn. I'm going to give you a little bit of half of the shallot. I'm just going to douse the whole thing with my shallot.
Okay.
And if you feel like you need more butter, though, it looks like you've got a good amount.
I think I'm good.
Now you can cook it even longer if you like, or really stop at any point.
Because you said if you cook it too much, it's going to go down in the B vitamins and certain nutrients, and it will become tougher. So we don't really want to overcook it.
That's right. Exactly.
I'm learning from you.
Yeah, you're good. Well, you know these things. You've been studying ancestral ways for many years. People might ask, what would you have as an accompaniment? I would say honey, as opposed to some vegetable, but you could steam or fry up or saute really any vegetable that you like. You could put it on a bed of steamed spinach. However, spinach has a lot of oxalates, oxalic acid, which builds up in our organs and in our joints. It's kind of a defense mechanism that plants have, and spinach is particularly high in that. And actually, black pepper is high in that, which is why I was mentioning white pepper before. And so I'm going to just add a little white pepper. I think mine is ready to go.
I think mine is too.
Yeah?
Tania, so we poached the thymus. We then cooled it a little bit. Then we simply basically sauteed it with some tallow and butter. I can't believe it's this easy.
It's that easy. It's that easy. And so many organ meats are that easy.
Wow.
It's just a little bit of cooking and a little bit of salt and flavor.
Oh my gosh. I want to say, where have you been all my life? Well, where have I been? Okay, so now it's time to plate the thymus. How do we go about it?
Okay, well, this is kind of heavy, but we're just going to put it on our plate.
Okay.
You have
I'll use my spoon.
And this guy is heavy.
Do you pour some of the other guy on it?
Yes.
The butter and
this is all the good stuff.
shallots.
Oh my goodness, yes. And of course the French would deglaze with some wine. You could do that.
I'm doing mine messy style. Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Let's just say if you were in a restaurant, you would want Tania's plate. You ready? Bon appetit, mon ami!
Yay!
So tender, so good.
Gosh. So good.
Wow.
Wow.
Kind of melts in your mouth. It has a texture, I would say, people always say this, of chicken. It has that texture. No organy flavor to me.
No.
It's all butter and creaminess, kind of.
Creamy. Melts in your mouth.
So good.
Thanks for watching, you guys. Let me know what you thought of this experience cooking with Tania Teschke of the Bordeaux Kitchen and the Bordeaux Kitchen every day. Follow her at BordeauxKitchen.com, and you know where to find me, Holistic Hilda. Love you. Hasta pronto.